Welcome back to the competitive sports series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Move up there on top. Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
So Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all or nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Competitive Speed Series. It's been a hot moment. Whether you're Frost, whether you're myself, it's been a week or two nonetheless. And well, we've got a lot to unpack following the last round's crazy action. But first and foremost, welcome back to my co-commentator. It is Frost. He's back from the death, I've heard, as well. A little bit unwell over the last few...
Tell me about it.
How are you?
It's not
bad, not brilliant either. I've been away, of course, the last race for personal reasons, and then this week, there's been some virus gone around, and it's decided to infect me very badly. So I've been pretty much sick for an entire week. But I'm good enough to go again. So yeah, let's roll with it.
Yes, and go again, we absolutely shall. In case you missed it, last round, Singapore, probably the most chaotic and memorable races for so many reasons. Really a race to remember, though, for EVE, who I think really took that race in stride and are really going to be looking forward to tonight. No doubt about that one.
Yeah, I mean, they've jumped up massively in the standings. I saw the tweet as well that they've got a sight on P5 and even P4, actually, because P4 is literally 1 point away from 5th position. And with this round included, there are still 4 whole rounds to go. So there's a lot of opportunity for them to jump even higher. They've now beaten ABS to it. And surprisingly, they are now the team in dead last position, but not that far away either. So there's hope for every team in that standings over there. But yeah, brilliant from EVE. Absolutely fantastic. I saw snippets from last week's race. It's brilliant to see pretty much what we like to call an underdog team win it for once outside of the established teams at the top. Speaking of the top, we've got TF10 up there, extending their lead still. FVR is starting to get left behind a little bit. There's still, of course, some time for them remaining, but it's starting to get quite exciting up there for TF10.
Yeah, it's definitely beginning to heat up a lot in this championship, and TF10, they're starting to maybe get a little bit more on the excited side of things, as they have got a little, I say, comfortable lead. It's not, there's never such thing as a comfortable lead in competitive speed series, but as comfortable as they can be, I think, out in front at the minute. FVR really didn't have a great round last time. They've got a lot to try and do tonight, I think. And a decisive round tonight, because this is round 9. They've not got that many races left. FVR need to make a statement of intent, need to have a good race, need to really put their foot in stride this evening around China.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of the calendar as well. I mean, next up is a Mystery Grand Prix, which is always very nice. Followed by 2 tracks in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi, especially Saudi Arabia. The balls are really close. And then, of course, Abu Dhabi is a nice season finisher. But first and foremost, we're moving away from Singapore to China, as you said. And that's another interesting track to watch out for. Weather can play a big factor here, like it did last time out as well. Track can get wet very slowly, I've seen here from experience. And of course, it's got all sorts of corners and straights in the mix. So I'm curious to see what the drivers can bring here tonight. We're waiting for the lobby to fill up. There's 16 in, 4 to go, and we'll soon be ready to roll.
Indeed, yeah. Looking really forward to this one. I know that for certain. I think there's so many huge talking points when we compare where we were 2 weeks ago to where we are now. It feels like everything's changed, and I know that it's a little bit odd to say that, especially in league racing when, we only had a few moves in the championship after that last round, but a real monumental shift in momentum towards some teams swinging in the direction of TF10 and obviously Aversio. You can't say that there's some momentum hasn't swung in their direction with a 1st and 6th, but I think, it really is about how other people around them respond now, because they can run away with this, situation they've given themselves, and they've given themselves a great opportunity to go into the final leg of the season in really good form. So it's going to be really interesting. I think we've got a really good end to the season on its way.
Yeah, I'm looking at the steward decisions from last week. Only 2 incidents have been reported, by the way. But we do have a qualifying ban for 1 team, and that is actually FVR. So their hunt against TF10 is already going to be struggling a little bit from the get-go, as only 1 driver can qualify. The other one will have to start from the rear of the field. Now, fortunately, this is China, and it's where overtaking is not all too difficult, especially with a massive back straight and the main straight as well, where there's a lot of opportunity to get past. Get yourselves a low wing setup, and I guarantee you're up for a very interesting race.
Yes, indeed, and confirmation as well coming in our direction that we will only have 19 drivers tonight. I believe there is a race ban. I'm just trying to find out. That's for Vroom. They only have Jeremy tonight representing them. So really interesting. The fact that we've got a few drivers who. Apparently, someone's EA got hacked, and that's why we're down to 19 this evening, which is very interesting. But hey,
it's painful.
It's very painful, especially I know what EA support is like. Hopefully, they don't smite us down.
Usually non-existent, but you know.
Exactly. But 19 drivers. We've got one qualifying ban. We've got a real good, I think, race on our hands, especially China. It's a circuit you can overtake at, mostly along that ridiculously long back straight, but there's plenty of overtaking opportunities around some of those corners as well, so it'll be interesting to see how ballsy these drivers are feeling tonight, because, well, it really could go in any direction.
Yeah, let's introduce them. For EVE, last week's race winner. This time round, we've got Vuk Gaika and Cornel Bem in the Alpine cars. Then for TES, we've got Carlos Galindo, Oliver Nutt alongside him in the Williams. Then for the Mercedes FVR, I've got Kidan Lut and Balin Telekis. Kidan will be serving the qualifying ban, actually. For ABS, Pascal Ranielli and Marvin Golm. Let's see if they can get themselves off that cursed last position in the standings. TF10 have brought back Mark Schluter alongside Cloud in the Red Bulls. Then for TTM, Nando Moreira and Lighty in the Ferrari cars. Then ET8 have got Matex and I hope I'm pronounced correctly, Jonat Tanasi for the Aston Martins. And then NLR will have Lewis Jones, Stephen Vaso, last certainly not least, Alex Lamas and Patrick in the AMR cars, followed by Jeremy Gallonier for VRM.
Yes, I think we are going to have a really good time tonight. So many good drivers once again, and it really does fail to deliver. These drivers always ready to perform at their best, and qualifying is just about 30 seconds or so away. We'll take you trackside for the very first time. It's been so long, I can't even remember if I know how to be a race director anymore, because it's felt like it's been an absolute age, and when we left it off with such a great result for EVE, it really has made me so much more motivated to see what happens tonight. And, well, let's take you to that track, because qualifying 18 minutes ahead. Let's get it underway.
Indeed, we will. Sun is out, clouds a little bit as well. Looking at my telemetry, we'll definitely have a dry qualifying. That's a fact. As you can see, confirmed right there, 19 drivers waiting to get going. Usually it's one of the Haas cars going out first, but it looks like several other teams are making their way out right now. One of the first drivers is actually Lewis Jones for NLR, team 4th in the standings. They've got their eyes on P3 at the moment. Of course, 1st and 2nd are a little far away for pretty much everybody from 3rd and downwards. But yeah, Lewis Jones out first, followed by one of the Saubers. That is actually Marvin Golm right there. They need to get some miracles done. Maybe they can take over the miracle flag from EVE this week round and pull off something special here. But that's still a long way away. In fact, both NLR cars have gone out early. Both of them just decided to make the most of it while the track is still relatively empty ahead of them. And 2 drivers remain in the pit lane. Even both FVR drivers are out, but I think one of them, that is of course Kidan Lut, will be driving around for a reconnaissance lap, then go back in and retire.
Indeed, yeah, just want to make sure everything's okay with the car. But qualifying, especially around this sort of circuit, not necessarily the most important. It is a difficult track to overtake at, but that long main straight does provide an opportunity to do it. So drivers, they're going to be doing their absolute best, as they always do, but they know that if, for whatever reason, things don't go perfect, they've got...
Oh, it's there goes Lewis Jones!
That's not gone perfect at all!
You just said something was going perfect, but, you know,
well,
you decided to turn left on the straight.
That's anything
Ouch.
but perfect start for qualifying there for Lewis Jones. Marvin Gome, though,
Copy of art.
maybe not flustered at all by that, will begin this flying lap. You'll see everyone really hugging that side. For some reason, there's a bit of advantage in doing that, but Marvin Gome taking it nicely through Sector 1 at the moment. And, well, ABS, as we have gone through, you know, they're in the hunt, but they need to pick up a little bit more points and pace, and hopefully it's a good start to this qualifying session for them. But Marvin Gome going through that second sector now, you know, he's got well, he's the first lap under some resemblance of pressure, and it's not shaping up to look too badly.
Oh, there he goes, approaching the end of sector number 2. Many drivers behind him in tow, as Keaton Lutt has indeed retired. 50.453 through the middle sector. I wonder which drivers have dared to take a low wing setup. I can tell you, it gives you such an advantage on these straights coming up right now. But badly in the middle sector, of course, with those many tricky corners and those opportunities to get your car a little bit too wide. Has got it all under control. Then approaching the big hairpin right here, much braking as much as possible to the car right there, and then just one more corner to go. Another one where you can go wide a little too easy and then invalidate straight away. Low Marvin. First lap time 30.4, followed immediately by Lightyear goes faster, 29.6. The other NLR driver, Steven Vaso, went straight on the straight, has gone second fastest now with a 29.8. We see Cornel Bem for EVE slotting in for now last with a 30.1. Jeremy Gallagher behind Marvin Gome at the moment. Jonah Tanasi with a 4th place. Carlos Galindo just quicker than he is. Many other drivers crossing the line. Let's see who's up next. Is that Alex Lamas? He's invalidated, as has one of the Aston Martins right there, as he decides to overtake him. And the pit entry. One more car then going through the final corner. Oliver Nutt slotting in for 2nd place. That's really quick right there. 29.652. TES looking quite strong out there.
Yeah, and one thing I really noticed as I cut onto Oliver Nutt, he got a little bit crossed up through the final corner. So he may have been on a lap that could have taken him to P1, but just wasn't able to get it over the line right at the end when he needed it most. But very good lap time, respectable lap time, and good start for Tomas Unger Sim Racing, who are looking fairly good early doors in qualifying. Now, Patrick for AMR across the line, he manages 10th. The driver behind Lewis Jones, he's the man who went into the wall on that very first lap. He is yet to set a time in this qualifying session. He's beginning his first flying hot lap now. Jeremy Gallagher, he's going to be on his way into the pit lane, as is Steven Vaso and those drivers behind. Pascal Ranieri appears to be on a lap at the moment. I can't tell if he's invalidated or not because I haven't brought my track map up. That's my own silly fault.
He has, actually. Yeah.
So he's not going to be playing any further part on this session at the moment, but plenty of time for things to change for him. But Lewis Jones, I believe, the only man on a flying lap at the moment.
He is indeed, and he's got something to make up. Of course, his front wing had to be repaired. Cost him a little bit of time. 50.6. That is about 0.2 of a second slower than Marvin Gome was. So at the moment, not looking like a particular strong lap plays, unless of course he does have that low wing setup, and now the true speed of the car is going to be shown on this back straight indeed. We're just going to have to find out when the lap is over. Approaching the hairpin once again, turn number 14 for Lewis Jones. This time it does go quite well indeed. Can he get anywhere to his teammates' time, which is currently P4, just behind Vuk Gaika for EV sitting in 3rd. There comes Lewis Jones across Z8. It's not last, but I would say it's not that brilliant either. He'll have to find some more time if he wants to stay within the top 10, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to need just a little bit more, I think, out of that lap. But not a bad banker lap time on the board. And given he missed a run thanks to unforced error of his own, He, I think, will take a bit of solace in that being his opening lap time. But in that mid-pack, it's not a million miles off, just maybe needs that little bit more. But Nando Morea hasn't got a lap time on the board. He needs to get something on the board for TTM. His teammate at the moment all the way up in P1 following those initial laps. What can he do? These drivers, Lighty, Nando Morea, they're known to be quite close and equal on pace, especially in qualifying. It's where the TTMs are always really, really strong. And it's only about a 10th down on Lighty's time there. So a good third and final sector here could make the difference for this lap. Could take Nando Morea anywhere from third to first. This could be a really important third and final sector for the TTM man as we head down that long back straight. Goes on for absolute miles and miles, it feels like. And then this tricky braking zone in towards that final and penultimate corner. Very careful to try and not invalidate it on the exit. If you just push a bit too much, you will invalidate nice and easy, but very good from Nando Morea. It's fourth. Mark Schluter then in fifth, and behind Stephen Vasso beginning a lap as well. It's looking good for quite a few drivers who have, well, taken it a little bit late as Matex comes across the line.
Matex in P8 at the moment. ET8 not doing that bad either, currently sitting in P8 and P9. Yona Tanasi, of course, a name I personally haven't seen yet here in CSS. So let's see what he can do for the team. ET8 currently sitting P5 in the standings, literally 1 point behind NLR at the moment. I'd like to focus our attention a little bit to the qualifying man to beat at the moment. That is, of course, Lighty, currently in the middle sector, being hunted down by his teammate who's just completed his hot lap. Lighty defending a half a tenth gap to Oliver Nutt, who is on his way as well. But Lighty currently over a tenth up through sector 2. So that is quite promising for him indeed. Now you need to nail this tricky corner right here, turn 13. So hard to get the power down correctly at the exact correct moment. You either gain a lot of time there or you lose pretty much everything you've built up on your lap. And so far it looks like Lighty continues on. DRS wide open over there, battery light flashing already, meaning most of the battery power is gone by that point of the lap. With one more corner to go, can Lighty keep that over a 10th advantage to himself? It goes too wide, unfortunately. That means end of the ride for this man. Next end to cross the line, Stephen Vaso. Where can he go? He does get very close to Lighty's time, but it's still not good enough to beat him. Then next up, I believe, is Cornel Ben. Yes, it is. It's P7 for him. I'd like to switch our attention to Vuk Gaika. That is Cornel's teammate, who's currently sitting in P4. Can he find some more time through the final corner? Stays within the white lines. Goes across the line at a 29.7, stays fourth, gains half a tenth, gets that much closer to provisional pole position. But that is still in the hands of Lighty for now.
Indeed, yeah, but very good from Stephen Vasse to really get up in the mix, as well as the man on your screen, Vuk Gaika, who's had a really good start to his qualifying session. And we said about could this be a momentum builder? That last round, could it be a sign of things to come for EVE? I asked that question in the post-race interview, and they said they certainly hope so. Well, a P4 in qualifying is not a bad way to go about starting that good form and momentum, but some people even picking EVE for pole, which I think maybe not too realistic, but anything is absolutely possible. But Lewis Jones beginning his second flying lap. Patrick just crossing the line. He's not improved on his lap. Nando Morea's on an out lap at the moment. But most drivers, having done their second laps now, peeling off into the pit lane, taking a bit of a moment, recharging that battery and getting ready for more laps. The laps do really come thick and fast here, even though the track's so long. Because it's so fast, these drivers can easily do 3 or 4 runs.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm watching Pascal Ranieri. He is actually still on his way to put in a lap time. His teammate P12. Where can Pascal go? He was about as quick as Marvin through the middle sector, but he does go a whole lot faster than the final one. Look at that. He slots in his car at P5. Now that's the hope. that ABS needs. Something that EVE probably will not like very much, knowing that the nearest rivals to get back to last place are now having one car at least in the top 5, but they at least have still got 2 cars in the top 10, with Vuk in 4th, Cornell in 9th. I'm trying to find somebody else on a hot lap. I believe Cloud just started his Balin. Telecki's then for FVR is on his way as well. The 2 title rivals, 2 of their drivers on their way at the moment. Neither of them have set a proper lap time as Balin Telecki's goes purple through Sector 1, of course. But let's take that with a little grain of salt right there. We all know how the game is on those things. As Lewis Jones actually goes fastest overall right now for NLR with a 29.5. Now, there is something interesting for their team. So they now are looking the strongest team on average. Telekis as he goes through turn number 13. What can he do as the only qualifier for the Mercedes FVR team? On the back straight, chasing down one of the Saubers right over there in the background. Let's see what he can do. He's a fast driver. He's been growing a lot over the past few years, and it's definitely showing in his pace. This game especially, it seems to be really in his area of expertise, as he now only has one more corner to go. Is he going to get off that accursed last position? Whoa, invalidates it at the very last opportunity, and that is pain. Look at the lap time. It would have been at 29.4. It would have definitely been pole position. Even if he had stayed within the wide lines, he might have been a slightly more faster, to be honest, because we saw the car wobbling a little bit, but that is unfortunate.
Yeah. It's really, really difficult around that final couple of bends. So disappointing for Balin Telecki's as they really need a good lap time on the board. FVR with one driver serving a qualifying baton. They absolutely need Balin Telecki's to get that good lap time on the board. Nando Array about to get a good lap time on the board himself. He'll go second. That's brilliant from Balin Telecki's, who will absolutely soar up the order there. Alex Lamas, another disappointing run for him as he'll peel into the pit lane as he has done on previous occasions, as well as Matex as well. Not many drivers setting lap times this time around, but those who are finding a lot of time and improvement. Lennart Tanasi coming across the final bend as well. Where can he go? He goes 7th. That's a really good run from them. But both Alpines beginning flying laps now. Vuk Geka was in 4th at one point, and now it's 8th. That's just the way it goes when people improve so quickly, so suddenly. But now there's a lot more pressure on the likes of, Cloud, who's in 11th. That's a really disappointing place to be for TF10. They'll be expecting a little bit more in those final runs, but also I think AMR are looking quite disappointing at the moment as well. We're used to seeing them have strong qualifyings. It's not panning out that way at the moment.
Well, to be fair, the strong qualifiers usually come from one driver, that is Aaron Dominguez, and he's not here. As much as it pains me to say. So yeah, 2.5 minutes remaining, by the way. Most drivers in the pit box at the moment. We saw Mark Schluter going in there as well. I'm not sure if he can get back out in time. Otherwise, P6. Not much to write home about for the championship leader. The only positive they can have is that both FVR drivers are currently in the back of the pack. One of them having a qualifying ban, the other having not set a qualifying time yet. But there's still hope for Balin Telecki's. Oh, I'm watching Jona Tanasi as he comes through the hairpin, making a big mistake right there and going straight back in the pit lane. No improvement for him there. Nearly plows into the wall coming in. Either way, Vuk Geka then, and his teammate Cornell. Cornell! Where did he pull that one out from? 20, and the Vuk Geka goes a millisecond quicker. How on earth is this happening tonight? Where did they find this speed? All of a sudden they found 16 buttons in that car, pressed them all at once, and bam! 1 and 2 for EVE. Hello! Good evening.
Wow.
I'm shocked.
2 weeks on from a race win. Both EVEs are running 1 and 2 in qualifying, a 1,000th separating the two. This will be their final, well, they won't have a further attempt at getting a better lap time, but they have secured probably a very good place on the grid. But it's as to what other people can do now. It's a case of sitting and waiting, almost in the garage type thing, for what other drivers can do. Lighty begins his flying lap. He will have seen the EVEs jump to the top. Is this going to be a moment of brilliance, or is it going to be one where they may reflect and go, we were just not on the track at the right time? What will it be for EVE 1 and 2 at the moment? But, yeah, 30 seconds on the clock. Lighty, Sector 1, improving by about a tenth and a half, my telemetry says. Interesting.
You saw him going through turn 6 there, that the car didn't look happy. I think he just overdid it a little bit. I think he nearly lost control of the car. In fact, let's see how it affected his middle sector right there. Improvement then in Sector 1. In fact, he's only 8/100ths of a second away from that pole position that is now occupied by Gaika. But look at that, 2.5 tenths quicker through Sector 2. Lighty is looking to be on his way to ruining EVE's little party right there with their drivers 1 and 2, 1 millisecond in between them. It's quite incredible to watch right there. Mark Schluter was too late to make the line, as is his teammate Cloud, unless he's currently on his way. I believe he is. But Lighty is the man we're watching at the moment. Cloud stays in P12. Qualifying time is up. So, is he going to spoil the party and put his car on pole position, giving EVE the job to hunt him down from a race start? Yes, he does, and by a margin and a half. Look at that. 29.2. Pascal Ranieri then improves to P5, giving ABS something to cheer about. Marvin Golm in the final corner goes too wide. Invalidates, would have been a 30.2. No improvement there whatsoever either way. Alex Lamas then next across the line goes too wide as well. Pushed too hard. Patrick has already invalidated. Let's see then, Jeremy Gallagher invalidated as well. Switching to the MLR cars of Lewis Jones and Steven Vaso in that particular order. Can they then get even faster than Lighty? Lewis Jones, well, he goes to second, but it's still far away. Steven Vaso goes to P5. Strong starting position then for NLRs. Bielin Tilicki saves the day for FER, going into P6. TES can only manage 9th and 10th. No pole position then for Oliver Nutt as predicted in the chat right there, meaning only Cloud is on his way. He goes across the line and he stays, I believe, from what I can see in the steering wheel, P13. So, Lighty has smashed the competition in qualifying, but he's got Lewis Jones behind and 2 EVE cars, which can still be happy with their result in 3rd and 4th.
Where has this team come from? What happened to the EVE of old? This team used to qualify consistently towards the back of the grid. They take one race win and all of a sudden they are the best thing since sliced bread. Lighty on pole, Lewis Jones second, Vuk Geiker in third, Cornel Ben, Stephen Vaso, Billion Alekis, Pascal Ranieri, Nando Morea, Oliver Knott and Carlos Galindo rounding out your top 10. Well, I don't know what to say anymore, if I'm perfectly honest. That is quite honestly astounding. What has transpired to cause that?
I'm not sure. It's a very unusual qualifying result. We see EV in the front. We see TF10, to be honest, in the back. 11th and 13th only. TES is pretty much there in the middle right now. As well, NLR done a great job too, P2 and P5. Then FER with only Bayland. Could have been better, but also could have been a lot worse. ABS have got a driver in the top 10, Marvin Goldman 16th. AMR, very disappointing. They will be starting from pretty much the last row, with only Keaton Lutt behind them. ETA, well, not that brilliant either in the end, only 12th and 14th. And VRM with only Jeremy Gallagher in P15. So yeah, there's a lot of talking points, and sorry, we shouldn't forget TTM, of course, with the men from pole and the other one from P8.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of crazy qualifyings. We've seen a lot of crazy races, but EVE, I think, are really beginning to turn a few heads, and for the right reasons. We're used to seeing them turn heads, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons, and now all of a sudden, that's flipping, and it's so great to see. that they really have been working so hard to make that happen, and to see them deliver these good results now, where they can start in a good place, and then hopefully they can now finish in a good place. I'm really excited for this race because now we're really beginning to see, teams shift about this order, and all of a sudden, that pace that we saw at the start of the season, that almost performance index for these teams, suddenly looks a lot different, and I'm really excited to see how that pans and changes between now. We've only got 3 rounds left, but that's plenty of time for change.
Yeah, and don't forget, this race still has to happen, so 4 races and 3 qualifying sessions still coming up. In the meanwhile, Mark Flutter in the Discord is not all too happy with the slowness of the cars being pushed back in the pits when your teammate is being pushed in. So he blames it on that, and I can't blame him on all that too much. He came in quite late, to be fair, but still, he was hoping he could get out in time, but he couldn't, and that is very unfortunate. That means the championship leaders will be starting on the back foot. They'll have one rival ahead. The other rival will be in last place. So that is going to be another story to watch out for in this race. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I wish we had like 16 cameras to show you all at the same time to watch all the battles happening on track. We're going to have to make our picks, though, on the battles that we will be watching. But we'll certainly try to focus on as many things as possible here.
Yeah, I think this is really exciting. It is so just baffling when we look at these results and we see teams in places where maybe they shouldn't be, but it's so nice to see that change, that ebb and flow, that real mix-up that we want to see. We want to see that difference, race to race, that difference, in how it affects the championship as well. I'm really excited for this one. Lighty obviously on pole by an absolute margin. That is blistering lap time, blistering pace. He did everything he needed to in that qualifying session. His teammate Nando Morea 8th. It's solid. It's not where you want to be, though. Absolutely not. And I think the same can be said for TF10. Balint Lelekis did exactly what he needed to. He got himself ahead of both TF10s, who had a bit of an off day, I think, in qualifying. They used to be quite up there. And obviously, one FVR back of the grid. So I think it's going to be real interesting to see which team comes out of this one with more points than the other. But also, we've got a lot of other teams in the mix in places where maybe they're not normally, such as, EVE, NLR, really up there as well. Their pace in qualifying, super impressive, absolutely sublime. And then Thomas Unger Sim Racing, they looked really strong as well. I don't think they maximised that qualifying session. I think we have a lot more to look out for them.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at those standings. CTM and NLR are quite close together at the moment in a tough fight for 3rd position. I think 2nd and 1st for both of them are a little bit too far away by this point. But that means TTM will have to continually look backwards. Both in the race tonight with Lighty from pole. He will have only cars behind him right now. And of course in the standings as well, the difference between 4th and 3rd, that is NLR and TTM respectively, is only 18 points. And then there's ET8, 1 point behind NLR, but they are starting a bit further back in the field. So maybe they're a bit less of a worry, but you never really know. Things can happen and things will happen, of course, with all of the races coming up right here and all the interesting shenanigans that these drivers bring with them at the moment. And of course, FVR will finally be back with 2 drivers. One of them, Keelan Lutt, starting from the back, and one of them starting from a P6. So yeah, we're waiting right now for the lobby to get set up again, the grid to be properly formed, and then we'll be back on our way for 28 laps. The weather, of course, has been reset. It's been set to dynamic once more, while the race previously was going to be dry all throughout. A little bit of clouds here and there. That might be entirely different. And again, and I can't help but notice that this season, we've had an awful lot of wet races, haven't we?
We have indeed. Jeremy Gallinier, good luck, he says, as I think we are now in a position where we are ready to go. And I think we have definitely got a good race on our hands. It would be nice to see a little bit more of that wet weather, especially around China. I think it really has a big impact on a track like China, makes it a very different circuit. A lot of corners that would be flat out, you can brake really late on, become pretty much exactly the opposite. You have to brake really early, very tricky, can't go flat out. So it'd be really interesting. I like the message that's come through as the drivers have been pinged. Let's get going. Keep it clean but entertaining, please. And that's exactly what we want. We want entertaining races, and we want it to be nice and clean as well. But the drivers readying up, and we should be getting underway very shortly, which means it's time for you to pick your race winner, Frost. Just looking at qualifying, hedge some bets.
You know, when I pick somebody, they usually get all bad things happening to them, right?
I know, which is what makes
I
it
shall
funnier.
not remind you of the race a few weeks ago where I called somebody out for their brilliant driving and then they just completely get destroyed on track, something like that. So I'm going to keep it secret.
Well, I shall. I will give a prediction for a race winner, and we will watch it completely unravel. Which is why I'm not going to go for one of the EVEs, because I really don't want to jinx them. I'm not letting a commentator's curse jinx EVE. I'm going to say that Oliver Knott wins the race today. Starting in 9th, but I think he had a lot more pace in the tank. I think we've got a lot more to see from him, but we are on the loading screen for the race. So it's going to be interesting. EVE is getting a lot of praise in the chat. EVE Dominance, Good Ball fans, EVE E-Series F125, here we go. People are even saying EVE are going to win the race. It's a real mixed bag in the chat, and I am absolutely loving it.
Yeah, just as mixed as the grid is tonight, so that is always interesting to see. The drivers are right now picking their setups, selecting a strategy, and then get their big tires moving on the track right here. Usually it's going to be hard to medium, but we'll have to find out what A, the weather is, and B, what the drivers think of that strategy, because it could be entirely different in China. I know that the default strategy from the game usually is medium to hard, except here in China. I couldn't help but notice that the game even agrees with most esports drivers that starting on the hards is a much better idea than starting on the medium. So maybe the drivers this time for this particular track will disagree with the game again and just pick those mediums. But yeah, this is a track, right, where tire wear is pretty hard with those fast corners, turns 1, 2, 3, then of course there's turns 7 and 8, all fast, then accelerating out of 12 and 13, another part there where you can just burn out your tires completely. So management is going to be very important. So I'm curious to see what the drivers are going to do right there. How conservative are they going to be, or are they just going to be aggressive and attack wherever they can?
Yeah, absolutely. It's panning and looking like it's going to be another race to remember for, well, plenty of drivers and teams based on qualifying, but anything is possible, and if it can happen, it absolutely will happen in the world of motor racing. So, as everybody begins to ready up, we should be getting underway for round number 9 of this championship, and well, what a season it has been so far, and well, the dynamic has really changed between the last few rounds and this one. What can happen as we will soon be getting underway for what could be yet another iconic race, but well, we've got 19 drivers, EVE in the hunt, which is probably the first time we've said that they're in the hunt for anything, but it is very much looking like things are changing around for EVE, and well, it's a case of also what can the teams towards the top of the championship do? Well, let's find out. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Shanghai, and it is lights out and away we go for round number 9. It's a good start for your pole sitter Lighty as he heads us away in towards turn number 1. What could everybody else do? As you see, Vuk Geiker going around the outside, trying to go around the outside of Lewis Jones. This could be ballsy. Lewis Jones is back into the wall. He did it in qualifying. He's done it again. What is going on for Lewis Jones? Down to 19th. Vuk Geiker up to 2nd. What a start to his race. Wow, a lot of chaos already. Drivers making moves already. Jeremy Gallinier has had a bit of a mare as well. Well, we're seeing a bit of a real move and shift around from quite a few drivers on this opening lap. Surely it's going to go a little bit pear-shaped for someone.
Absolutely. In the meanwhile, somebody's sneaking through the field has been Balin Telecki, starting from 6th, finding himself in P3 already and chasing down Vuk Geiker hard. And speaking of hard, that's the tire everybody has chosen for this race. All on the wide-walled tires. No differences right there. So they're going to have to time the stops against their teammates perfectly, as Mark Schluter tries to battle both TES cars for a spot well into the top 10. Started 11th, up to 9th right there. Back to the front though. Can Balin Teleckis go and make that move? He's getting awfully close. He's definitely going to go for it, or is he? He's going to certainly have a look. He's going to have a go against Vuk Geiker for that 2nd place. He's like, congrats on your win last week, but this time it's back to business for us right here as Balin Teleckis takes 2nd place now, decides to chase down our race leader of Lighty, who has stayed out of trouble so far. They'll go as close to the pit wall, kicking up a load of dust, making all those pit wall members right there quite a little bit coffee over there, as we can see Lewis Jones making his way slowly up through the field, as he's now in a big battle right there with Maytags for what is currently 16th place. He's 4th around the outside. He's got no choice but to yield for the time being, but that is not the place he wanted to be after that brilliant qualifying right there.
Yeah, disappointing. His qualifying started with him in the wall. His race nearly started with him in the wall. He didn't quite make contact with it, but he certainly went in that direction. Matex, though, making a mistake there and giving away both of those places, promoting Lewis Jones up into that 16th place where he now resides. But looking across this field, so many drivers have moved around here. EVE, though, have actually not moved back really in this race. They're still looking really strong, and I think they're really going to be hoping that they can keep this pace going. It certainly seems like they're very in the mix tonight, and well, Vuk Geiker is even quite close to the back of Balin Teleckis. I dare say they could be in the chance for the race win, but now I've said it, I absolutely have jinxed them.
Well, that's why I haven't said anything yet. Either way, FVR driver number 2, Keaton Lutt, has moved up to P14 from last already. He's nearly lost connection to the group ahead. It's crucial that he doesn't. So that is going to be interesting to watch indeed. His teammate has nearly decided to attack Lighty right there into turn 1, 2, and 3. No success just yet. He knows that driving at the front is no beneficial at all. Meanwhile, Lighty's teammate Nando Moreira has made up 2 positions as well. Finds himself in P6 for the time being, right behind Cornel Bem, the other EVE driver, fighting against Stephen Vaso for P4. But I think you're right. EVE, for now at least, are not yet out of the running, with Vuk Geiker keeping up nicely, but there's a lot of drivers keeping up at the moment, especially Mark Schluter, who decides to go for it in turn number 8. That is brave from him right there, but he's got no choice. He had to try go around the outside in turn 9. Not easy to do right there, so he had to yield again, but he's definitely showing that against Carlos Galeno, he means business, big time, and he wants to waste no time chasing down their title rivals, because right now, it's more points to FVR to close the gap down a little bit more those final 3 rounds. So what can Mark Schluter then do? On the back straight, he's still within a 10th and a half of the other TES car, and he's got no choice but to make the move round the outside as Carlos Galeno defends the inside, and he decides to go hard on it. Mark Schluter, though, has decided to keep the door shut as much as he can, and he closes it right there, going up into 8th place. Now chasing down Pascal Ranieri for another position right there. A bit further ahead, we can see Nando Moreira getting awfully close to Cornel Bem, but overtaking in turn 1 is a little bit more difficult than in going into the hairpin right there, so he stays behind for the time being.
Yeah, it is Looking good for Mark Schluter as he set the fastest lap to suit. He's actually about to make the move on Pascal Ranieri. Nearly made it through that sequence of corners there. Wasn't quite able to hold it. He'll get really close to the back of Pascal there. Or you can tell how late on the brakes Mark Schluter is being. He's really trying to carve through the field like a hot knife through butter. And he's got to be in this race because at the moment Balint Alekis is in a great place to really capitalise on TF10's blunder. He had a brilliant opening lap, and that set him up really well to gain a heap load of points versus TF10 at the moment, especially with 8th and 13th on the board for them. Keaton getting his way into the points as well in the lower fringes of. It's looking good for FVR to claw back a little bit of ground, but Mark Schluter is trying his best to try and resist it as much as he can. But as we head onto this main straight once more, everyone is going to get very, very close to each other. Balint Alekis makes a move for the lead of the race, and there you see in the background as well, Stephen Vasso fighting with Vugeka as well, but pretty much places resume. Just Lighty and Balint Alekis have swapped, but Mark Schluter still not managed to make that move up into 7th place. He is really trying to get these moves done.
Well, Stephen Vaza with a dive in turns 1 and 2, trying to get past the EV driver, trying to throw him off the podium. LLR won that podium position back right there, side by side they still go. But Vugaiga defends hard, and he defends well for now. He's just an inch ahead, but Stephen Vaza will have the inside in turns number 6 right here. Is that where he's going to seal the move? Lighty goes a bit too wide right there. Nearly gets in the way of this overtaking maneuver of Stephen Vaso, but he's still alongside the EV driver. Vuk is not yielding yet. And he's got a bit more traction going through the corner, winning out for the time being. They tapped a little bit, but it is quite incredible racing by both of these drivers. It's definitely certain that EVE have told their driver to defend this last podium place with whatever he has, and he's doing an absolute extraordinary job at it. And meanwhile, behind, we saw Mark Schluter deciding to go again on Pascal Ranieri, but Pascal has still got that line covered properly, as once more Mark Schluter has to slot in behind, but he's got really close now with a better exit by the end of the corner. Now he's going to get a good run of the Sauber right there for a move into the hairpin. He gets pushed a little bit to the inside of the corner, as of course any defending driver would do, but I think Mark this time has got it covered, or has he? Pascal Ranieri, whoa, there's a lot going on right there. I do not have the perfect camera angle right now, but it looks like at least Cornel Ben nearly got involved as well.
Yeah,
oh, there he goes nearly again. Swinging everywhere. There's a lot going on. He's teleporting backwards a little bit. There's a lot happening now to the other EV driver. He finds himself in P10. Mark Schluter all the way up to P6. And then Moreira into P5. A lot of things happening at once.
3 wide!
Look at that. More attacks going again in turn 3. All of them trying to overtake one another at the exact same time. And by some miracle, no carbon parts have been flying whatsoever.
Well, we did have a bit of carbon fibre fly. I believe Oliver Knott has lost a bit of his wing, as well as, unfortunately, one of the EVEs, Cornel Bohm, has lost a bit of his front wing, and not great for one EVE, but the other is still looking really solid in this race at the moment. As Balint Alekis and Lighty have swapped places a couple of times over the last few laps. You see in the background there, one of the AMRs trying to move past and cement the place past Carlos Galindo, and then also setting the sights after Oliver Knott. You see Keaton and Carlos Galindo side by side there through the one of the corner that goes on to that long back straight. That's turn 13, and really a lot of commitment from all of these drivers at the minute, and it's great to see all of these drivers doing incredibly well at the moment.
It's insane, isn't it? A lot of racing going on a track like this. Who doesn't love to see that one? Then the Moreira has now moved up to P4. He's getting closer to helping out his teammates to secure a potential 1-2. TTM is starting to look better and better by the lap, but you know, there's still a long way to go. It's only lap 7, but they are definitely in with a good shot. 2 drivers in the top 4 at the moment is something you would love to see, and they need it. They've had their struggles this season, they've had their brilliant moments, but they have more struggles than good moments, unfortunately. And right now, this is their time to potentially turn it around, but they've still got a very feisty Vugaica in between them. And they've got a Baden Telekis who wants to try and claw back to victory ways of his own team. FVR right there with TF10 only having P6 at the best position, as his other teammate, Keaton Lutt, has entered the top 10, overtaking the damaged Williams right there of Oliver Nutt as he tries to chase down another car. We even see Alex Lamas getting past the Williams right there for P11. It's not looking well. He's lost a lot of downforce.
Yeah, that bit of front wing damage wouldn't have, you wouldn't think it would have that much impact, but it is really causing him to struggle through some of these longer corners, and that there's a lot of them around this circuit, those long and sweeping corners. You lose so much time with a bit of front wing damage through those corners. It's really causing a lot of struggles here. Lighty, though, having struggles of his own as he's now battling with Balint Lecky side by side, and well, he won't make that move on that occasion, but he may have the better line out of this final corner as we begin a brand new lap. What can he do? Is he going to think about a move into turns 1? If he does, that would be ballsy. It is ballsy. It's around the outside, ballsy, and he's pulled it off, and that is brilliant from Lighty, who now leads the field in that first place. And well, that is a well executed, clinical and clean overtake. That is what they need.
Exactly that. In the meanwhile, Mark Schluter, while trying to attack Steven, is in trouble. Oh, he squeezes Pascal, tried to get past in turn 6, but there wasn't a lot of room as Mark himself was attacking as well. 3 wide. He doesn't fit in that corner, turns out. And Mark Schluter now has got the perfect opportunity to finish the move once and for all, and up he goes into P5. Another place closer to... Oh, look at that! Pascal and Jonah Tanasi banging wheels right there as we see Jeremy retiring in the pit lane. Those two are definitely not friends tonight on track, aren't they? Meanwhile, behind Cornell Bem, I believe, against Keaton Lutt. It looks like the struggle of Cornell do continue. Keaton Lutt there has now got the inside, and the FVR driver moves up to P9. The charge continues. He's already disposed of one TF10 driver, Cloud, sitting in 13th only, and he's got a lot more to cover.
Indeed, yeah. Cornell struggling a little bit, I think, since that kind of move that caused him to slide back a little bit, but he is still very much on the pace. He's just having, I think, a bit of a struggle at the moment. But Stephen Basso back ahead of Mark Schluter, so the struggles for Mark, unfortunately, continue as now he's got to re-overtake that car that he overtook just a lap ago. Keaton Lutt ahead of Lonat Tanasi as well. So FVR very much getting into the frame here as Nando Morea and Vuk Geiker do battle as well. But Vuk Geiker, he's defending so well for EVE. And it is really good to see as Nando Morea just can't get past and onto that podium. A real struggle. And it's so good to see a struggle for, you know, all of these teams that are used to always being out in front easily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's trying to hold up the big honor that EV now have on their shoulders. Another podium for them would at least certainly be really brilliant. So he's going to try and do everything. Maybe even try an undercut later down the line. We're still far away from that, though. Lap 9 out of 28, sorry. As we come onto the back straight once again. Which moves are going to happen this time? I'm looking at the timing sheet. I can see certainly Nando Moreira and Keaton Lutt lining their rivals up for a move. Nando Moreira first and foremost. And in the background, Keaton Lutt against Pascal Ranielli. Who's going to make the move first? It looks like it actually Balint Teleki's going for the move. All Lighty side by side through the hairpin, as do Vuk and Nando for the other podium positions right there, but it's still Vuk in P3. Keaton Lutt still has to hang on to P8 against Pascal Ranielli. Neither of them were successful in their attacks as we approach turn 1. Once again, what's going to happen right here? Absolutely nothing. They stay all nicely in a long line of colorful cars right there, but it's definitely Nando Moreira who decided to have a go at it anyway, and he does make the move at long last, but it's still Vuk on the inside, and I'm 100% sure he's not going to give up that easily. Is he going to go to re-attack him for third? No, he isn't. He's got no choice this time but to yield to the Ferrari right there as Mark Schluter once again tries to get past Stephen Vaas, though, in what appears to be his favorite overtaking spot. turns 7 and 8 appears to be really strong, and despite the wing damage he has, Mark Schluter, look at that, the front end plate is missing on the left side. He's managed to make the move anyway.
Yeah, I do wonder where that damage happened. I didn't notice it a lap or two ago, so he's really got a lot of pace. Despite that little bit of damage, may not be as major as the game makes it look with an end plate missing. So definitely a lot of pace on Mark Schluter's shoulders at the moment. In contention for sure, and doing his part to try and well, off-put FVR in their race in pursuit of a race win. But look at this as we now... Oh, no, it's EVE going slightly sideways with Vuk Geika there in 5th now after having a little bit of a moment. But very nicely, Gutlakar pointing in the right direction and back up to speed as well. And I dare say, going to make a move on Mark Schluter. Oh, that is ballsy. Oh, wow. Straight back into the place they were. Already trying to make the move on Mark Schluter. Vuk Geika trying to hold it around the outside of turn 3. Can it work? Is it going to be beautiful, bold, and brilliant? It is none of those three, unfortunately. But could it be a dive down the inside? It's a little look.
Whoa,
but
not
not
a dive though, but Stephen.
Yeah, that's
saw that?
Whoa, just appeared out of nowhere on the left-hand side. But look at Vuk Geika now, struggling a little bit more, I think. A little bit off-put by everything that's happened. But side by side with Steven Vasso. Well, these EVEs are really not afraid to get the elbows out. 3 wide! Wow! Oh, and the EVE gets shown the grass there, unfortunately, falling to 8th now. But so much promise, I think, we're seeing in this race. They still go 3 wide. What is going on? These drivers want to go 3 wide absolutely everywhere. These are corners where I never expected to see drivers go 3 wide, and somehow they are managing it. But Pascal Ranielli is going to really struggle here. He's not got DRS, and we'll see himself probably get overtaken here because he's not going to have that DRS benefit. But look at this gaggle of cars all so close together, working and really squabbling as a unit here, have really opened up a bit of a gap for the top 4 to run away.
It's, wow, it looks like, especially for Geika, is bitten off a lot more than he can chew, I'm afraid, and he's fighting so hard, he's now lost not only himself, but the entire field behind P4, the ability to win the race, pretty much. So there's that, he's now down to P7, desperately trying to stay ahead as many people as he can. Carlos Galeno's butting Keaton Lutt out of the way, says, no thank you, do not get past me, I want to get past Alex Lamas, who finds himself in P8 out of nowhere. He'll be pleasantly surprised with that one. Carlos Galindo trying to get past there as well. In the meanwhile, it's the good old rivals of TF10 and FVR against each other once more. It's Mark Schluter versus Balin Telekis. Balin does have the slight advantage in the corners, but Mark will certainly be faster on the straights, as we have that 1-2 for TTM, as they would have hoped for, most likely. They can now start to control the race. In fact, they're slowing them all down a little bit, it seems, because all of a sudden Steven Vaso and the group are gaining a whole lot of time on the top 4 right there. They were getting closer and closer to DRS, but not yet close enough. Back on the back straight then, once more. Let's see who's going to make the moves. I think the moves are happening in the second group right there as the TTM drivers switch positions. Pascal Ranielli and Steven Vaso do the same, and there's Vuk Geika, who still's got his mouth full of all the attacks on the previous laps, trying it again though against Steven Vaso. Can he successfully make the position work? Yes, he does. Back up into P6 he goes too wide then, as does Alex Lamas out of the final corner. There will be almost certainly a warning unless he's lost enough time according to the game. Back in turn 1, he's going to try it around the outside. This man is providing a whole lot of entertainment, that's for absolutely sure, as he tries to gain as many positions back as possible. The gap is now grown again to 2 seconds from 4th down to 5th. And Vuk Geika, at least for now, stays in P6.
Yeah, I think the red mist has descended in the cockpit for Vuk Geika as he's really being so aggressive. But you know what? He's being the right amount of aggressive. It really is so pinpoint perfect, the aggression that we're seeing from the EVE man. he's not put a foot wrong in this race in terms of his moves and his racing. It has been sublime so far. Maybe not the most strategic of moves, but his ability to race side by side, he's really shown that EVE can race and can show up and deliver good results. And provide a bit of action and entertainment, which is obviously what we want. But we are looking very good for Geiger up into 5th. He's going to now be trying to close the gap, if he can, between himself and that top 4. 2 seconds, roughly, that gap. And it's going to be difficult to close that, but an undercut, a well-timed undercut, would absolutely bring them into contention, as we'll see Stephen Vasso and Pascal Renielli go and try and do battle into turn 1. Is Stephen Vasso maybe thinking about trying to do a switch back there in turn 1, but it's so difficult to do that sort of move. He unfortunately won't make it work, but I noticed this a lap or two ago, Cloud. Not Cloud. I noticed a lap or two, Frost. Cloud fell down the order a little bit. I'm not sure what happened to the TF10 man, but a lot of the hard work and possibility of a good result that they had has been undone, with Cloud now running all the way down in 18th. That is not where you want to be.
He's now also pitted for medium tires. As is Oliver not, of course. Oliver probably has gotten a fresh front wing. I'm looking at his car at the moment. Yes, he has. The gap between Mark Schluter and Vugaika can also be explained by this overtaking habit of Vugaika, I have to say. If he had been a bit more conservative, I have to be honest, on the overtakes, they might have still been with the top 4, but they are not. And now that undercut is looking to be ever more viable to the team strategy, at least. We see Baden Telekis trying to harass TTM as much as possible, but they are showing him the door as Pascal Ranielli gets back past Vugaika, trying to shrink that gap, but it's not working. It's only increasing as we speak. We see Nando Moreira then, the first of the top 4, coming in for those new tires for the fresh mediums as he tries to make the undercut for his own team right there, claiming the lead. I'm also curious to see where those on the fresh tires will come out. Oh Patrick has crashed in the pit entrance. Safety car is out, and Nando is, I think unhappy is an understatement, but he's not going to be happy at all. Patrick has caused the safety car by entering the pit lane, crashing in the wall, and that's that. Race has been neutralized out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's really disappointing for a lot of drivers. Matex, Cloud, Oliver Knott, Lewis Jones, Lonut Tanasi, Kendon, Alex Lamas, and Nando Moreira all really not going to get the benefit from that safety car because of when it came out. That's a really odd place to have a crash at the best of times, and unfortunately, really not ideal at all. For any of those drivers who were just in the pit lane, but ideal for literally everybody else, including the likes of Vugaika and Pascal Renielli, Stephen Vasso, Carlos Galindo, and Cornell, all of whom were kind of in a bit of a league of their own, weren't in contention for the race win. They'll be pulled back into it, and really gonna be quite interesting, but it's a repeat of 2007, a crash into the pit lane. We've seen that one before, but not really something that happens too often in league racing, but I suppose the drivers pushing to the limits even on that pit entry, but we will surely see everybody in here for that change of tyres onto the mediums, taking them to the end of the race, and everyone, understandably, being a lot more cautiously than Patrick may have been.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in 2007 it was Lewis Hamilton who decided that the gravel trap was more beneficial to his tires than fresh tires. So yeah, there's that. The top 9 can now all switch freely to those medium tires anyway. Lighty retains the lead, and I'm afraid Fernando Moreira, P10, might be the best he has. Although, look at that, he's still got some speed. Where's he going to come out? Looks like damage limitation has happened after all. It's only 3rd place. It's not that bad at all. He's only lost 1 position with going in, unfortunately for him, too early, which he couldn't have known, of course. But there he is, P3 for the time being. Alex Lamass came in that lap as well. He can retain P6, so that's a strong job by him. Fukagaika stays in P5 for the time being, and Mark Schluter in P4 at the moment. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that TTM might still have this race well under control, even with the unfortunate timing of the safety car. There they are, Lighty first, Nando Moreira at third, Balin Telekis back in between them in second.
Yeah, I think that safety car came out at the perfect time for Nando Moreira. I think any later on that safety car coming out, and he would have lost a few seconds in the pit lane, but I think just because it came out just as he was crossing the white line on the pit entry, I think it just about neutralized it enough that he didn't lose anything too substantial, which is very lucky. Very, very lucky. But, you know, it's also quite lucky for those who were, well, P5 and down. They've got an opportunity to be brought back into the contention. So it's really a case of luck for quite a few drivers. Nando Moreira is not going to be the only driver feeling just that little bit like he got a bit of the rub of the green there. But he has got a lap older tyres, which isn't the hugest thing in the world, but it will have an impact. Frost? Okie dokie. Frost appears to have vanished temporarily.
Oops, I have muted myself, sorry.
There we go. Well,
I was talking about Matex, who's still going around, but it looks like he's coming in now at last.
Yes, I did wonder at what time the ETA would come into the pit lane, but I suppose he wanted the freshest tyres he could possibly have. So he has pitted right there at the latest pretty much available opportunity. But we should have this lap on the safety car, and then the safety car should be in. Noticing Mark Schluter opted not to change that front wing. Is it the right call or not? He had good pace, but I think as the laps go on, his pace will struggle a little bit more because they'll be going faster through the corners. He won't be able to take as much speed through the corners. So,
well, to be fair to him, he was overtaking people in the corners, even with the front wing chipped off. So, whatever the damage is, it doesn't really seem to be bothering him whatsoever. So I'm curious to see what he can do on grippier tires. Maybe he can do it still.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see kind of what scenario we're in for, you know, Mark Schluter. Is it a case of that, you know, he's really pushing the limits of the car and compensating for the damage, or is his true pace that this mark where he's been pretty much the entire race? And it's been really good to see that he's had that bit of damage to the car. We don't know how severe it is, of course, but the pace has been really strong regardless of it. The safety car will be in at the end of this lap as it speeds off. I say speeds off, it can only go so fast, off into the sunset, and the drivers, well, will slow down that little bit, try and keep the tyre temperatures as much as they can. Look at Balin Telekis though, he's doing a bit of a Kimi Raikkonen, not moving down the straight. Everybody else weaving in the background. Balin Telekis just being a bit of the Iceman in vain here. As, he just wants to get on with it, wants to get on with the race. And, well, we will get on with the race as we head on to lap number 18. We've got 11 laps of racing still to go here around Shanghai. And Lighty has gone. He's gone off into the sunset. And, well, he's got a bit of a margin versus Balin Telekis. Nando Moreira is quite close on the back of the FER man, who probably have quite cold tyres, you would have thought, given the fact he didn't move much down the straight, but it doesn't appear to be struggling too much. But Pascal Renielli overtaking Alex Lamass, getting himself up into P6. Now they go side by side, battle a little bit there on the exit, and that invites Keydon Lute into the fold here as he will try and go around the outside of the Haas in ahead of that AMR. Makes the move very nicely done. And gotta say, FER in good stride and good form at the moment.
Indeed, they are. Back in 7th, Keydon Lut is baiting like he's trying to stay with Lighty, but at least for now, Lighty appears to have a slight pace advantage on the mediums. In the meanwhile, has to watch backwards as well as Nando Moreira tries to chase him down in his turn, but it looks like Pascal Ranieri is the one getting awfully close to Vuk Gaika over here. And drivers around Vuk by now have been warned. Vuk will attack when he can, and he gets really close to Mark Schluter. Is he going to go for a move then in the hairpin? No, he's not. But it's Steven Vasa, I believe, who had a look. Yes, he has a look. And he cut the corner of the hairpin right there. That's not really working in his favor. And he gets
into the wall!
I was about to say he gets a penalty, but instead he gets slammed into the wall as well. And some damage there for him. I'm not entirely sure what happened, and I'm sure it wasn't on purpose from the other driver, but that's not going to make Steven Vaso a happy man at all. And LR, while brilliantly fighting for the win a few laps ago before the safety car, find themselves far down the order as even Lewis Jones gets overtaken. In the meanwhile, the top 3 has gotten away from Mark Schluter, so it looks like Mark then might be suffering then from the front wing at the moment. He gets hounded by Vuk Gaika at the moment. He cannot keep up with the top 3 right there. So a lot of things have shifted around since that safety car, and it's absolutely brilliant to watch.
Indeed, it's critical though for Vuk Gaika at the moment that he can get ahead of Mark Schluter on this lap down that straight. He needs to do it, because if he can't, he will fall out of contention for possibly a race win, which he was in contention for at the early stages of this one. But you see that very much on the bubble of 1 second. If he can use the DRS, he can propel himself to within 1 second of Nando Moreira. He needs to make the move here down this straight. He's definitely got the pace. He's definitely got the speed. The rear wing opens. You see Mark Schluter moving side to side, but it is all in vain for the TF10 man, who can't quite hold it there. Keydon Lutt as well getting involved for FVR, trying to really provide an extra spanner in the works for this race as well. But that gap, it's not close to less than a second. It's almost like the top 3 have pulled away now, and it's going to be a real struggle to get within that 1 second window now.
They had, yeah, that's because the fighting in the hairpin was a bit more active than the top 3 was fighting in that same position. That means they've lost more time, and the connection is definitely broken once again. The top 3 have gotten away only a few laps after the safety car has come in, and only 1 lap after DRS has been enabled. So that is certainly very interesting indeed. So Vuk Gaika now leads that the largest group. That's the second group. The small group is actually the first one. As Marvin Golm gets another 3-second time period, the second one in the race so far, and both of them now at the back of the field. Steven Vaso appears to have thrown in the towel and falls back further and further. The dream for NLR has been smashed to pieces, which might be good news for ET8, hunting them down for 4th, with Yona Tanasi and Matex 12th and 15th at the moment. But we're going to have to focus on the front of the field, as Bayland is still struggling to keep up with Lighty, who's lightning fast on those medium tires. Pun totally intended right there. Nando Moreira still has that job to do to get past the Mercedes. In the background, we see Vuk Gaika about to be overtaken by 1 and maybe even 2 cars. Keydon Lut is about to get past the Alpine as well, and he does so successfully. Alex Lamaze gets past Mark Schluter as well. This might be the day for TF for FVR then to claw back some points in the championship, as Mark Schluter is struggling harder and harder to keep up with the rest of the field. He's down to 7th already, and who knows how much worse it could potentially get for him from this point onwards.
Indeed, yeah, it's looking really good at the moment for that top 3. They're managing to break away just ever so slightly, but Pascal Renielli, Keydon Lut, Vuk Gaika, and that field, that gaggle of cars, they need to work together. If they don't work together, they're not going to get any better than 4th place. If they want a chance at the podium, they need to really work together, almost like be a bit strategic to try and get the most out of this one. But at the moment, really, they're having to try everything they can. And I think Keydon Lut, if he can get himself into 4th place, I think that's going to be the man who's going to hopefully take them towards that train of cars that they want to be involved with in this race. But it really is going to be a struggle no matter who's in leading that pack. But Balint Leckis, he has slightly recovered and got back onto pace and form. Maybe his tyres now more up to temperature. After all, he wasn't weaving down that straight at any point during that safety car window. So Balint Leckis now takes the race lead. And this is what, again, the drivers behind need. They need a bit of squabbling, a bit of infighting here as well. If that happens, that could be what helps bring them into the mix and into the fold here for this possible race win. Wout Geiker is going to make an easy move versus Pascal Ranieri there, as he had a bit of a moment out the final corner. But the gap now 2 seconds. It's not going to get any lower, I don't think.
No, they'll need a miracle for that one. Keelan Lutt now leads the group, and Balint Leckis leads the other group. So FVR has also got a little bit of power right here to play around with. But Balint Leckis has now got the bad luck of having 2 TTM cars behind him that will both get DRS. And that is their perfect opportunity to retake the 1-2 that they had before the safety car came out. With Patrick's crash in the pit lane right there. Look at that there. Lighty is pushing Balint through the corners. I'm not sure what's going on right here, but the pace difference is almost night and day. In fact, Balint is actually holding him up. That is what is happening.
He's
because look at
absolutely
the gap.
doing it.
He's holding him up badly, and the gap has shrunken from 2 seconds to 7/10 of a second in the span of one whole sector. The strategy of FVR is unreal as Balint Leckis gets overtaken before the DRS even happens. He is allowing TTM to take 1 and 2, but he's also allowed to get his own teammate into the fight, and that will allow them to put in some pressure to the Ferraris. We see a big classic Ferrari versus Mercedes happening right here, and it's absolutely extraordinary. These strategies are brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Balint Leckis really absolutely doing what he wanted and needed to do for the team's sake. If they want to maximize the points count, the best way to do that is with your teammate right there with you. But it could all go the other way. It could go south as well. They could lose places if their pace isn't quite as good as they thought, maybe. I mean, they were able to run off into the sunset, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way between now and the checkered flag. We've got still 6 laps to go, and anything's possible. And we've got a lot of drivers in the fold, but Mark Schluter, once again, opening another rift in the field. It's the second difference between himself and Pascal Ranieri. So, 6 drivers now possibly in the hunt for this race win. TTM maybe getting this under control with a 1-2, but FVR 3 and 4, gotta say they've got a chance as well, but don't count out your 2 odd souls of Wout Geiker and Pascal Ranieri.
I think TF10 is now secretly cheering on TTM to keep that 1-2 because their rivals are in a potential 1-2 position as well. They got 3 and 4 at the moment, and now we're going to find out who's got the most brilliant minds in terms of strategy and positioning, and who's got the biggest pair of bollocks right there. Look at that. Balint Leckis is trying to go the inside or the outside, whichever works better for him. Neither does, because Lighty is defending both sides pretty much perfectly and keeps Balint Leckis, for now at least, behind. Keelan Lutt, though, is getting awfully close to his teammate, and maybe they're going to swap around positions whenever it feels safe, and it does feel safe right now, I'd say, because there goes Keelan Lutt, and he will now try and attack them into the next back straight. Behind them, Wout Geiker and Pascal Ranieri fighting for P5. Wout, at least for now, stays with that position. Alex Lamas has closed the gap to the top 6, back to under a second. Mark Schluter now down to 8th position. His teammate is getting closer as well. Only 2 TES cars in between them. And I also see Matex and Yona Tanasi fighting for position 14th and 15th on the verge of points right there. But our focus is at the front of the field, where now TTM have got an almighty job to try and keep the reigning champions behind them.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for TTM here, and you can see already Keelan Lutt really getting onto the back of Lighty here down the inside. Oh, that's risky. It's very risky, but it's brilliant, and he absolutely makes it work. And you'll have DRS as well on Nando Morea to help us. Balin Aleki's now battles with Lighty as well, so it could be a bit of a sandwich for TTM now, where both FERs are there together, working together as well, giving each other slipstream as well to try and keep that 2 and 3, but as they go through the final couple of ends of this lap and onto lap 25, Keaton Lutt leads ahead of leads the FER pairing, but Nando Morea still out in front for the time being. Lighty wanting to try and get in the mix as well and try and get himself back up onto the podium, but look at the drivers behind as well. Wout Geiker and Pascal Ranieri are really putting on the pressure to this as well, and could capitalize quite easily.
Yeah, it looks like Wout and Pascal especially do not care about the team tactics between TTM and FER. They just want to try and win this race, especially Pascal with his team in last place has got so much to gain from hauling a massive amount of points like EVE did last week. And of course, Wout wants to gain his team another victory right there. Right now, they've fallen behind a tiny bit. You can see a bit of a gap form between the Alpine and the Ferrari right there. But for now, I think the fight will be staying between TTM and FER. They can make their 4 cars wide enough to keep anybody behind at bay for now. Lap 25 out of 28. Nando Moreira has to keep Keaton and Balin behind. What can Lighty do from P4? He's absolutely all over the rear of Balin Telekis at the moment as they come into the back straight once again. What's Lighty going to do? He's got less than a tenth of a gap and he's using probably a lot of battery to try and open the attack on the Hungarian right there as they approach the hairpin, getting closer and closer. There's no attack on Nando just yet. Oh, there is an attack on the outside there. A bit of wheel banging going on as well. But it is Lighty that squeezes himself back in between the FER cars as he tries to get to the rescue of his own teammate. Nando going too wide, probably racking up a warning. Keaton Lutt now trying to go around the outside in turn 1, but Nando might have to have a go. No, he doesn't. He decides to bail out for the time being, preferring to stay with his teammate, and having a strong TTM bond right there. Splitting the FER cars might then be more important than leading the race.
Yeah, it's really beginning to get a bit heated and boiling, reaching a bit of almost a boiling point for these drivers as all down the inside. Oh, it's a tangle, and oh, that's not great. Pascal Ranieri getting a 3-second time penalty. Balin Alekis falls to 11th, and I don't think that was any fault of Balin Alekis there. I think he just got caught in the crossfire of Wout Geiker and Pascal Ranieri battling. Yep. And unfortunately for Wout and Pascal, it has caused them to fall a little bit off of this this pack that they wanted to be involved with, as Marvin Golm falls and has a bit of an issue there. Goes to 16th now on the order, now 17th. Pascal Ranieri, though, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Unfortunately, it's not going to be looking like it's going to be quite the result of dreams that he was maybe quite desiring. And unfortunately for EVE with Wout Geiker as well, front wing damage on that left-hand side is going to wreak a little bit of havoc. Quite a chaotic final 2 laps you've got.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think this one might be on Pascal's. He was too enthusiastic into turn 6, I'm afraid, and caused the whole thing to absolutely go into blow-up modus. And there it is. Pascal drives in P4, but he does have that 10-second time penalty and potentially some investigation from the stewards after the race as well. It was difficult to see who was actually at fault, but I'm certain they'll have plenty of point of views to go through after this race. Wout Geiker is indeed in trouble. But so is Mark Schluter. He's got the damage at the exact same place on his front wing as Wout has. And they both are desperate to keep up with the top 3 right there. Lighty and Nando Moreira now have the perfect positions to try and hound Keaton Lutt as much as possible. I cannot see Pascal Ranieri winning tonight with all the penalties potentially on their way, which is a big shame because they could have had it in the bag right here for his team tonight. But yeah, it's difficult to say whether that's going to happen or not. But on the back straight for the second to last time, they go again. Keaton Lutz is alone. His teammate has fallen down the order. TF10 cannot believe their luck as they are now driving around in P6 and P10 and potentially can see Keaton Lutz not winning this race. So Keaton has got it all to do on his own against two strong drivers who have it in their bag as much as they like.
Indeed, yeah, going to be really difficult now for Keaton Lutz to keep this place and keep this race win as we head on to that final lap of action here. As you see in the background, Balin Aleki's really struggling, Cornell Bem even struggling as well. Nando Morea, though, not able to make a move on Keaton Lutz here. The gap 2.5 tenths between the two, and, well, it's not been the ideal start to the lap. Is actually, we may even see a bit of change of position between the two TTMs as Lighty is looking closer to Nando Morea than Nando Morea is to the race leader. But this sequence of corners, not really a place to make a move, especially on that final lap. It's going to be that long back straight where Nando Morea is going to be absolutely pounding on the battery to make it all happen.
And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. We're going to determine the race winner real soon. And we've got Keaton Lutz still in that leading position. He needs to have the gap as big as he possibly can on the back straight. Can he do it? He needs a perfect exit as he comes onto the back straight for one final time. But it's 3.5 tenths. I doubt whether it's enough. He goes defensive immediately. But he's got two very feisty Ferraris behind him who are both going to do everything in their power to make the 1-2 for TTM. Where are they going to go? They're going to have to go around the outside. Looks like one of them might be able to do the job. No, they can't, because Keaton does everything in his power to defend, but there's Lighty trying to sneak through. Will it be a last corner overtake around the outside? No, it isn't. Keaton Lutz does it. He holds on against two cars and one, and he finishes somehow as winner here in China. And Lighty and Nando will have to take second and third position right there, with Vuk Geiger claiming P4. A good result there for EVE. Mark Schluter finishing P5 despite the damage, with Oliver Nutt in P6. A brilliant recovery from him there. Alex Lamas in P7. Some good points there for AMR2. Carlos Galindo P8. Cloudden in P9. Matex in P10 right there. Baden Telekis, after all the bad luck, he's at P11 right there. Jonah Tanasi P12, Lewis Jones P13, Cornell Bem 14th, Pascal running out at P15, and then Stephen Vaso gets the fastest lap of the race, unless Marvin Gomes got something to say about it. Does he? He does not, I believe, and finishes in last.
Yeah, wow, where do we even start with a race like that? Keaton, absolutely a great race from him, last to first. You cannot write it. That man was on absolute fire, and to defend that place, really sublime. But I think there's going to be a lot of talk and a lot of reports going on, because that race had so much action, so much drama. You don't know what to even think, if I'm honest. I mean, we could rock up next race, and all of a sudden, penalties are applied, and we have an EVE winning for a second time. It really could go any way, but provisionally, Keaton Lutz last to first, and a pretty good way to do it over the course of 28 laps. Lighty in second, then Nando Morea in third, Vuk Geiger fourth for Alpine, but stewards have got a lot to say in this race and will absolutely have an impact on a lot of drivers' plays. Mark Schluter, though, in fifth, Oliver Knott sixth, Alex Lamas in seventh, Carlos Galindo, Cloud and Matex rounding out the top 10, Balin Lekis, Lona Tanasi, then Lewis Jones, Cornell Bem, Pascal Renielli, Stephen Vaso, then Marvin Golm, Patrick and Jeremy Gallagnier. The last driver of two retirees. Those are the final two names I shot off in your direction. But Keaton Lutz, what a drive from him.
I called it in my head. No, I didn't actually.
Well, it's
I
not.
mean,
Mine wasn't any better.
I call anything, right?
Mine wasn't any better.
But yeah, last to first, that is impressive. Easy driver of the day for me. I mean, I can call that one simply. So brilliant job by him. And I'm curious to see which of the drivers would like to give us some insight.
Indeed. Let's see who we can get for an interview. I'm so glad we had no issues with the stream in that second half of the stream. It was a little bit laggy and unpredictable in the first half, but that second half, absolutely brilliant, which is what we want to see. But let's hopefully hear from some of our top 3. I'm waiting for someone to give them a ping.
I'm going to give them a heads up.
Yeah, someone's going to do it.
Oh, never mind.
Well, the waiting room's being set, and now we just need to tag our attendees. There you go.
Oh, looks like Lighty couldn't be tagged. Let me try that again. There we go.
There we go. I mean, everyone has just pinged.
Now they got me tagged twice, and Lighty's got me tagged 3 times, so there we go.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully we'll hear from them, because it would be really good to hear from the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, they probably have some things to say about it. TTN might be slightly disappointed with this final lap. We saw some bumping happening, though, in the final hairpin, so maybe there might be things to say about that. But I see somebody in the waiting room.
Indeed. Let's hear from them now. And I don't even know who I've got in the room.
It's Keaton.
It is.
Hello.
It is indeed the race winner, and last to first. That's not a bad way to win a race. But possibly quite a few things going to the stewards. Talk us through the race from your perspective, though. How was it?
Move after move, I would say. It was fun. Just climbing up the field one by one from the back. I knew, obviously, I had the pace over some of these guys, so I just tried to make it clean. Obviously, that didn't happen all the time because there was some questionable driving, let's put it that way. Well, people put making it 3 wide in certain corners where you should not make it 3 wide, and it was scary at times, but we made it work with the low wings, and I'm very happy with it. I think we did a good team work. Unfortunate for Balint for getting killed into turn 6, I heard, and we need to work on that so we can get both cars at the top. But at one point, it was looking very good for us, so I guess we did the best we could there.
Yeah,
at least for our side.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like quite a good race for at least your side of the garage. Balin obviously got caught up in a few incidents, didn't have the best end of the race, finished 11th. Obviously, it's really important that you guys gain points on TF10 in the championship. Do you think you guys as a team could have got a little bit more out of the race, obviously, but with the issues, did you think kind of what you got in the end was kind of all you could get?
For me, yes. For Balint, he definitely had more in it. You probably saw he was just fighting at the front for the whole race. He qualified P5, so he definitely had a very good pace. And I'm sad that the race ended for him like it did, but I feel like he will gain a few positions with the stewards, and he will get at least P8, P9. So it could be worse, but obviously it would have been better if he would have finished, for example, 1-3 or something like that. And it was very difficult at the end to keep the TTM guys behind, but it was nice.
Yeah, indeed. And any questions from you, Frost?
No, you've summarized it all perfectly, I'd say.
Lovely. Well, congratulations on the race win, Keaton, and we'll let you go and enjoy your evening. We'll hopefully see you back next time out for the mystery round.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, no one else in the waiting room, and it's disappointing not to hear from either of the TTMs, because I think that was a really good race for them, and they really sung, I think, in this round, and really great to have them, looking really strong. I'm really curious to see what we can have, in the future.
Yeah, it's a big mystery, isn't it? Because we've got a mystery Grand Prix next week, so that is going to be the biggest question mark. Which track will we be driving around on, and which team might take the benefit from that one? I'd say tonight, FVR clawed themselves a little bit back in contention, gaining a bit of points on the TF10. I'm not entirely sure from the top of my head how many points all of the positions gain for TF10 and FVR especially. But I'd say they might have closed the gap at least a little bit tonight. As for TTM, they've done a strong job. Despite second and third, it's still a lot of good points. They've defended well against an LR and ET8. Of course, Lewis Jones was taken out by either himself or an incident quite early. So they will at least extend the gap to them and ET8 as well. And of course, EVE with P4. It's not a win, but it's still very strong indeed.
Indeed, yeah. Pretty much summarised absolutely everything there that could be summarised. Beautifully done, as always, Frost. But I think that is pretty much all we could write for this one.
Well, we've got a surprise. We've got Nando in here.
Oh, we have got a right as we were about to end it. We were just about to end things off, and here we go. Nando Morea joining us right at the cusp of what has been a pretty chaotic race. Nando, a pretty crazy end to the race. You nearly edged out your teammate to the line, but unfortunately only could manage P3 in the end. It's disappointing maybe not to have taken the race win, but really solid result. You happy with it?
Well, if I'm honest with you, yes, I'm happy because I'm not that active on this game this year. I'm driving sometimes. I don't have a lot of time to practice for it. So, yeah, it was a bit unexpected. The pace in qualifying was not good. I knew it from the beginning. But yeah, I was surprised especially on hards, I was flying. And on medium, it was okay too. So yeah, I was like, okay, we are fighting for the win. Let's go. And yeah, of course, it's disappointing when you saw the race and the performance was there. But yeah, we do P2 and P3 for the team, which is very, very solid. I need to check again the last corner. I mean, the hairpin on the last lap. But yeah, of course, still a great result. But yeah, of course, I would prefer to win this because I think today the pace was there for this. But yeah, still a strong result. So really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll be really hoping the stewards look favourably upon that final corner incident. We mentioned it just as we were about to round off, but next round being a mystery round. I want to get your insight a little bit. How do you prepare for a mystery round? Like, what do you do to try and make sure you're on the pace when you don't know what track it's gonna be?
Well, you're trying to do a bit of TT on every tracks, I would say. So when you have the time to practice for almost everything, of course it's easier. But yeah, you're trying to be, how can I say it, clever. I mean, because you saw the calendar, so you know that some tracks won't be on mystery track. But yeah, it's always very difficult because you can have a track you like, a track you hate. That's always a big surprise. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But yeah, I would say some laps in TT on most of the tracks just to prepare, and and then deliver and pray.
I mean, yeah, it pretty much sounds like what most people might have been doing for most of this race is praying that they don't get caught in all the carnage. But it was lovely to get your insight, Nando. And as always, congratulations on yet another great result for TTM. I'll let you go and enjoy your evening, and hopefully we'll see you next time out after doing a few laps on every track.
Well, yeah, I hope too. So thanks for tonight. Thanks for the commentary. I will rewatch the race after that. So thanks.
Enjoy it. Take care. Well, that is now, hopefully, fingers crossed. We have heard from Lighty that we're not going to be getting him in. So, fingers crossed, that is all she wrote for round 9 of this championship. And, well, we've only got a few rounds to go, mystery round being one of them. And then we've obviously got Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, sorry, not Bahrain. We had that earlier in the season to round off, and I am looking super forward to this one. These drivers seem so pumped, so hyped every time. I am absolutely so looking forward to these final 3 races.
Yes, me too. Let's find out next week.
Indeed. Well, it has been once again a wonderful time to have you all watching, and it's been yet another amazing race for so many teams, many major talking points going into next round. Sure, a lot of stewards' decisions to talk through as well, but we will convene with you a week's time from now when we head to a mystery track for round number 10. But until then, when Competitive Speed Series returns for round number 10, bye-bye.
Welcome back to the competitive speed
The
series.
absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that
I
place?
cannot believe my
Who
eyes.
comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
So Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all or nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season.